We are at crossroads in automotive history. The 2020s will be looked back on as being the decade where things switched over. And what I'm talking about, obviously, is the demise of the internal combustion engine in favor of electric vehicles. Now, as far as EVs are concerned, I've not yet met one that I truly do not like. But what I do know for certain is that they're just going to keep getting better and better. But that's not what I want to talk about in this brief video. What I want to do is, well, is celebrate the internal combustion engine. Obviously, this won't be the last internal petrol-powered engine vehicle that I will review, even in the next 7, 8, 9 years, who knows. But this vehicle might very well be the peak of them all. Now, what is happening right now, and has been going on for a few years, is that some automakers have taken it upon themselves to celebrate the ICE. I'm thinking BMW, for example, and all their competition models with mad power and turbochargers and V8s, but no other automaker is taking it to heart or taking it upon themselves as much as, well, Stellantis, FCA, and Dodge. Because in 2021 and 2020, and even going back 3 or 4 years, they've released vehicles, new cars that in all good conscience should have never, ever been built. But I'm sure you all join me in saying, or most of you will join me in saying, thank you, Dodge. Thank you, FCA, for doing what you've done. And of all these SRT vehicles with supercharger, naturally aspirated V8s and all that, this one is the peak of insanity. Yes, I know the Ram TRX. It is completely crazy, but there's somehow, if you take, I don't know how to explain this, but the TRX, if you take it out of some mainstream context, kind of makes sense, right? To have a 700 plus horsepower, massive a pickup truck that's capable of doing all kinds of things, and taking it for what it is. But this is a 2021 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. This is just a mainstream 3-row mid-size SUV for families. I mean, I got my 2 kids' seats strapped in there. I'll show them to you in a few moments. And it has 710 horsepower under the bonnet. It's completely insane. It's completely and absolutely wrong. It is bonkers. But it gives me chills right now, just to say it, to think about it, that this is as crazy as it's gonna get. I mean, Dodge has said that they were only going to build about 2,200. I forget the exact number for the North American market. They have increased production. But 2021 will be the only model year for this. And there are so many things that are right and wrong about this truck. One of them, I don't know, if you're kind of old school like me, Q-ships, like underappreciated, not quite visible and obvious, high-powered cars and vehicles, Q-ships, right? Like the silent killer. This is more than likely the most psycho of them all. Because all you have to do is hide this and the badge on the rear, and it can look exactly, well, maybe with the exception of the hood, like a regular Durango RT with just a naturally aspirated 5.7. If you did that. This truck is all kinds of things to me right now, and it's very bittersweet because I'm loving every second with this SUV, but I know this truly marks the end of an era, or the beginning of the end of an era. So many words, apologies for that. Anyhow, look, in the following video, we're going to do a very brief walk around. It's not like you haven't seen Durango, and I just reviewed an RT with the 5.7 only a couple months ago. And then we're going to go make even more noise. We made noise with the RT because it had the exhaust on it, and well, this is a Hellcat, so it's going to make even more noise. Okay, so about the Q-ship and the silent killer thing, what I'm trying to say is that the Durango SRT Hellcat looks like any regular Durango, or nearly. I mean, unless you know exactly what you're looking at, imagine that it's debadged, okay? You'll more than likely never notice a little chin spoiler. Unlikely that you will notice that the hood is a little bit bulgier and has more ins and outs for the air. And you'll certainly not notice this hatch-mounted spoiler, which produces 140 pounds of downforce at 290 kilometers an hour. I laugh because that's the truck's top speed. I mean, yes, the 20-inch wheels are kind of a giveaway, as are the brakes, but you can get those on an SRT 392, and the wheels are optional with the RT. So, you know, from a slight distance, debadged as is, especially white like this, my goodness, it looks like any other rental Durango. Obviously, it's a 2021, so it has received a number of upgrades, as the regular Durango has, you know, in the rear and the front, and the center console, for example. And yes, we know the Durango is quite old. But frankly, it doesn't really matter anymore, because here it is, and it's just fantastic. Pricing is pretty impressive too. In the US, $81,390. In Canada, $115,720. So there's further proof. Not only was production limited, but it will be price, well, limited, not available for all, which makes it just that much more interesting, fascinating, and people will love seeing one of these in 20 years when petrol will be $5, $7, $12 a liter, apologies. Anyhow, but what you do get for that kind of money is Uconnect 5 10.1-inch screen and a bunch of other stuff. My tester has a few options: Red Laguna leather and second row center console for about $120,000. $120,000 for a Durango. Supposed to just do a quick tour. As I mentioned, kids are strapped in there and they're loving the noises and the speed. This is the optional center console, which is kind of cool. But what I would prefer to do is there is an option to have the third row removed, which then gives you a rear bench in the back. It's a lightweight performance package, which is really cool. And I believe it's no cost. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think so. We've all seen this before. Red Laguna leather, it's beautiful. It's very supple and thick. It's really nice. We'll just dive in quickly. Start her up. There's a giveaway. There isn't much to say in here. Look, Uconnect 5 is still great. It works fairly well. It's fairly quick, reasonably intuitive, and HVAC controls down here. I mean, suppose we can focus on this. So your launch mode is right there, center stage, whenever you need it. SRT, so this gives you all the drive modes. So obviously track. I wish I could have tracked this because it's just phenomenal. Auto is kind of your default eco mode, which honestly all I do is I set up my custom mode as such, with obviously the dampers and control standard or comfort, and we drive. Otherwise, you know what, I think I've said enough. It is a time to make said noise. Now about the drive, frankly, this is how I can summarize the whole experience. I would still get an SRT 392 with only 475 horsepower instead of this, if only because even in auto mode, there's no way you can hold the throttle more than, I don't know, 6 seconds before you get caught and get hauled off to jail for a long time and face a massive fine. I mean, I know the SRT Hellcat is exclusive and rare and all of that, but if you're gonna buy it as a daily driver, the power and the noise is just too addictive. We all know the 6.2 liter supercharged V8 from FCA, from Dodge, and you know, in this case it produces, much like most other ones, 710 horsepower at 6,100 RPM, which is redline. and 645 pound-feet of torque at 4,300 RPM. I mean, this is, mid-size, fairly large, 3-row family SUV that'll hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds. And is NHRA certified quarter-mile monster at 11.5 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, which is just amazing. But I'm not bashing on this, I promise you, because I know that in a decade from now or whatever, I'll probably want to buy one of these because it's so... No, I'll still want to buy the SRT 392. Look, other improvements made to the SRTs is that now the way the dampers are tuned, the adjustable dampers, you actually get more comfort, which is really, seriously, and I've mentioned this before, I'm sure, that one of the tricks in 2021 is that these insane vehicles are so capable of comfort and performance and speed all in one vehicle, and that applies to the SRT Hellcat. And in track mode, when the truck is even more stable, even more capable of insane amounts of handling, performance, it's just, I wish I could drive this just to smoke some M3s and stuff like that on that track. It would just be so funny. I'm really enthusiastic about this truck, but at the same time, I don't know, you know what, here, let's just do something, because this is part of the SRT experience. I don't know if this is gonna work, but it's my douche move, okay? And that's what you'll end up doing all the time. And that's when it gets dangerous, because this thing is so fast. But it still does family duty so well. I don't know. I feel like I'm listening to myself talk about the SRT Hellcat, and I'm not very convincing, but I don't need to be. This truck is just exceptional. Utterly ridiculous. But just fantastic. Honestly, I will tell you what it is. I am scared to hell of getting pulled over, because at any given moment, this is a frightening truck, absolutely frightening truck. I won't even tell you how far above the posted speed limit I was doing, but it's magical, it's frightening, it's wonderful. This is all just useless drivel. I'm sorry, but drivel. I love this truck. I just absolutely love this truck. I'd get an SRT 392, save about $35,000, and maybe cut my chances of ending up in jail by about 25%. That's it. That's all.